Okay, so there's this massive shift happening in music right now. I mean, a real game changer. For the longest time, all the power was with the big record labels, right? Well, that's changing. The center of gravity is moving, big time, directly to the artists themselves. So, what does this new artist economy even look like? How does it all work? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
Yeah, record labels should be terrified. I mean, that really says it all, doesn't it? This isn't just a small change. The stakes are incredibly high. For what feels like the first time in modern music history, the old guard, they have a very, very real reason to be worried.
But here's the thing that's so interesting about this whole situation. It's not happening because artists are, storming the gates with pitchforks. It's not about anger or rebellion. It's quieter than that. It's about a deep, fundamental shift in technology and just plain economics. The system has evolved to a point where the traditional record label is suddenly, well, optional. So that really tees up the two big questions we're going to tackle. First, how in the world did the system even get to this point? How did it break? And maybe more importantly, what comes next? What does this new future, a future controlled by the artists themselves, actually look like? All right, so before we can really dive into the future, we have to take a step back and look at the past. We've got to understand the old system. For decades, and I mean decades, the major label deal was pretty much the only game in town. It was the only way to make it. But man, was it a high-stakes gamble for the artist. So here's how the deal basically worked. It was a trade-off. The artist had to give up almost everything long-term. We're talking ownership of their actual recordings, their publishing rights, a huge chunk of their future earnings, just gone. And in exchange, the label gave them access. Access to stuff that was back then completely out of reach for a normal person. Professional studios, getting CDs into stores, big-time marketing. It was a deal you made because you literally had no other choice. And you've got to get this, the label's whole business model, it was never designed for every artist to win. Not even close. It was a numbers game, like a casino. They'd sign maybe 10 artists, fully expecting that 9 of them would probably fail. Why? Because that one mega hit from that 10th artist would make so much money it would cover all the other losses and then some. It's a system designed for the house to always win, which is great for the label, but absolutely devastating for those other 9 artists who are now in debt and have nowhere to go. Now, you'd think, okay, the internet arrives, streaming comes along, surely that fixed everything, right? Well, here's the crazy part. In a lot of ways, it actually made things even worse. Let's talk numbers for a second. Look at this, $0.003. That's it. That's, on average, what an artist gets paid when you stream their song one time. It's not even a fraction of a penny. It's just insanely small. And to really put that in perspective, let's blow it up. To make $100,000 in a single year, an artist needs to get about 25 million streams. Think about that number. And here's the kicker. That's the gross revenue. That's before the label takes their huge cut, before the manager gets paid, before the lawyers, before everyone. For most artists, that's not just hard, it's basically impossible. So the labels, they weren't stupid. They saw this math too. They knew streaming wasn't going to pay the bills like CDs did. So what was their solution? The 360 deal. It's exactly what it sounds like. To make up for the lost cash, they just started taking a piece of everything. 360 degrees of an artist's career. Your tour money? They get a piece. Your t-shirt sales? They get a piece. That sponsorship deal? Yep, they get a piece of that too. So instead of adapting and loosening their grip, they just tightened it. They squeezed harder. Okay, so that all sounds pretty bleak, I know, but this is where the story takes a turn. Because right when things looked the worst, a whole new toolkit started to emerge. And for the first time, it gave artists a real alternative, a way to actually build a career completely on their own terms. And at the very heart of this new toolkit is an idea called Web3. Now, don't let the name scare you. The simplest way to think about it is this. It's a version of the internet built around ownership. It uses technology, blockchain, to create something like a public digital receipt. It's a permanent, verifiable record that proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you own your work from day one, and no one can go in and secretly change that. Just that one concept, it flips the entire power dynamic on its head, instantly. And look, this isn't some far-off, futuristic theory. These are real tools, real platforms that artists are using right now. Places like SoundXYZ let you release your songs as digital collectibles that your fans can actually own. On Royal, you can literally sell shares of your future royalty income directly to the people who believe in you most. The big takeaway here is that ownership, it's not something you have to negotiate for anymore. It's the starting point. It's the default.
Okay, next up is something called an artist token. And I want to be super clear about this. We are not talking about some crazy financial investment. The best way to think about it is like a digital key to your own private fan club. If you're a fan and you hold this token, this key, it unlocks a whole world of exclusive stuff you can't get otherwise. We're talking private live streams, getting to hear new music before anyone else, maybe even getting to vote on the next t-shirt design. It's all about access and community.
And again, the tools are already here. Things like Unlock Protocol make it super simple to set up these kinds of members-only experiences. But you can go even bigger. You could use a platform like Stageverse to put on an incredible virtual concert for your fans all over the globe, or build a permanent digital hangout spot for your community using Spatial. What all this does is build a direct, powerful, and ongoing connection between you and your fans, with no one in the middle. So, we've got ownership, we've got community. What's the last piece of the puzzle? It's AI. And honestly, this might be the final nail in the coffin for the old label model. Now, when people hear AI and art, they get worried about robots writing songs. But that's not what this is about. The real power of AI for an indie artist is that it's like having a superpower. It completely wipes out all the boring, repetitive, time-sucking work of marketing that used to take a whole team of people. Think about it. A single artist sitting at their laptop can use something like ChatGPT to bang out a bunch of awesome social media posts or a press release. They can jump into Canva and create professional-looking graphics without ever hiring a designer. Heck, even running ads on TikTok or Instagram. The AI does the hard work of finding your audience for you now. It means one person can now run a marketing operation that would have literally cost a fortune and required an entire department just a few years ago. So what happens when you take all these ingredients, the ownership from Web3, the community from tokens, and the automation from AI, and you put them all together? Well, something really powerful happens. You stop playing their game. You stop chasing this impossible lottery ticket version of success, and you start building your own economy, one that's actually sustainable. And it all boils down to this really famous idea, but updated for the modern age, the 1,000 true fans theory. The math here is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The goal isn't millions of casual listeners. The goal is to find just 1,000 true fans, people who genuinely love what you do. If you can get each of those people to support you with something like $10 a month, you've just built yourself a very real, very sustainable six-figure career, all on your own. And that, right there, is the big picture result of all this. It's nothing short of profound. What we're seeing is the creation, for the first time, of a real music middle class. Success isn't this all-or-nothing gamble anymore, where you're either a global superstar or you're broke. No. Now it can mean being one of thousands and thousands of artists who are earning a good, stable living just by connecting directly with the people who love their music. So where does this leave us? What's the takeaway for the future of the entire music business? It means the rulebook has been thrown out. The entire power structure that has defined music for a century, it hasn't just been changed, it's been completely and permanently rewritten. In this new world, record labels are no longer the kings sitting on the throne. They're not the gatekeepers deciding who gets in and who doesn't. They're vendors. They're like plumbers or electricians. They're optional service providers that a smart, empowered artist can choose to hire to do a specific job, but only if the price is right and the terms make sense. So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. This new reality, it's already here. The game is no longer about knocking on doors and asking for permission to have a career. It's about building. Building something that is yours, 100% from the very first day. The future of music is not about getting signed. It's about ownership. Owning your art, owning your audience, owning your destiny. The future is owned.